taxes. Please welcome Rachel.
It's a beautiful spring Saturday. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and it's the perfect day to be out golfing. Instead, you're stuck inside at your computer doing your taxes. Because if you don't get them done, your significant other has threatened to leave you. You're frustrated and you're cranky, and you'd rather do anything else in the world right now. And you know what? You should do anything else in the world right now, because you should not do your own taxes. I've been doing taxes for a long time now, in both public and private accounting. And the one thing that I can't emphasize enough is you should not do your own taxes. And today I'd like to give you 3 reasons why you shouldn't do them yourself. The first reason is because you should be developing a relationship with your tax advisor now. You know that saying that when you need a relationship, it's too late to build it? It's so true for so many relationships in your life, yet not many people think about it when it comes to their taxes. You go to your doctor for your annual checkup, and you would never let a small lump turn into a massive tumor before you got it checked out. So why would you let your taxes turn into a cancerous tumor before you got it checked out? It's better to build that relationship early on, before those things come up, so you have that relationship in place when you need it. And when you have that relationship in place, your tax advisor knows more about you and your tax situation than any box of software or any stranger at an H&R Block can. They know which questions to ask you to minimize your taxes and to identify issues. And they also know what issues are going to come up for you in the next few years, and they're likely thinking about them before you do. The second reason that you should not do your own taxes is simply because taxes are hard. The tax code has over 4 million words in the tax codes and regulations, and that's just the primary sources. That doesn't even count the secondary sources. That's over 7 times longer than the Bible. That's over 7 times longer and more boring than War and Peace. Reading, and more importantly, comprehending the tax code is a skill set, just like anything else out there. It takes years of experience and practice to fully understand what the code is saying and how it applies to the taxpayer. And more importantly, it changes every single year. Not many, What's always funny to me is how caught up people get in changes like how much the standard deduction is each year. Not very many people teeter between the standard deduction and itemizing, yet that seems to be such a concern to them. But what most of those people don't understand or even know about is how many other tax law changes come out every year, like credits that have been extended or that have expired. And you know why? It's because most of those new tax laws come out at the last minute on December 31st every single year, like those new rules for the Affordable Care Act. Do you know what most people are thinking about when those new laws are coming out? New Year's Eve appetizers. And you know what? They should be thinking about their appetizers, because they've got a tax advisor who's spending New Year's Day reading through all the exemptions for failure to maintain health coverage for 2014. And they've got a tax advisor who's following all those other changes and how they apply to your taxes so that you can spend your time not using that new gym pass. Finally, there's the cost-benefit analysis of doing your own taxes. The IRS said that it took on average about 23 hours to prepare and file a 1040 last year. The average cost to file it was about $200. So let's say you spend about $65 on a box of TurboTax, which is the cost of TurboTax Premium on Amazon. You might think that you've saved yourself $135 by doing your taxes yourself. But you spent an hour figuring out what box of software you needed and where to get it the cheapest. Then that box of software sat around your house for a month and a half, nagging you that you needed to get your taxes done. Then your significant other started nagging you. You finally decide to buckle down and get your taxes done, but you run into questions. Now, I'll be honest, you can find a lot of basic tax information on Google, but it's going to take you a long time to read through those results and figure out how it applies to you and what you'll need, and more importantly, how you can get that newfound knowledge onto your tax return. For example, if you had a kid start college last year, Did you know that there are 2 credits or 1 deduction available to you to get some of those costs back? You have to figure out which one applies to you. Which one's the most beneficial? What costs can you deduct? And what do you do with any scholarships that your kid received? Now you can figure all that out on your own, but how long is that going to take you? So let's say that you're more efficient than the average bear and it takes you about 20 hours to get your taxes done. That $135 that you saved doing your taxes yourself means that your time is worth $6.75. The minimum wage in Nevada is $8.25. Don't you think that your time is worth more than the minimum wage? I've given you 3 good reasons not to do your own taxes. First, you should be building a relationship with your tax advisor now, early on, before those issues start. Second, taxes are hard. It's a huge, vast area of knowledge and expertise, and you should not be expected to know it all. And finally, your time and your money can be better spent doing other non-tax things. So let's go back to late January. You spent an hour gathering your tax information and meeting with your advisor to go over it. A week or 2 later, you met with your advisor again, you went over your completed return, and signed off on it. Your advisor gave you some suggestions about what to think about in the next year and how to get a little bit more money back. Your Saturdays are now yours to enjoy, guilt-free, without the dread of doing your taxes hanging over your head. Your refund will be direct deposited into your bank account within a few weeks. And your significant other is no longer Googling divorce attorneys. Why would you do your taxes yourself when you have such good reasons not to?